Look, the world is crazy right now, humble viewer, and you're probably doing the same thing as me right now, which is sitting in self-quarantine, going insane trying to figure out what you're going to do until all of this blows over. Well, I'm here to comfort or terrify you with 5 great movies to watch during a pandemic. Before we begin, I just want to shout out a few honorable mentions on this video because there are still so many great pandemic movies out there, but considering this is a very minimal list of 5 different movies, we didn't have time for them or space for them all, so they were cut for various reasons, but know that they are still great movies. One is Cabin Fever, great movie, fantastic little medical horror thriller. Great movie, that's all I gotta say about that, so be sure to check it out. Number 2 is The Bay. That's kind of more of like an apocalyptic sickness with bugs. It's weird. But Dawn of the Dead, I mean, it's a zombie outbreak inside of a mall, so that's kind of an essential viewing. And The Night of the Living Dead, same deal, just more zombies and more black and white, more dated, I guess. And finally is Mad Max, because Mad Max is just awesome. Anyway, on with the list now. At number 5, we have Outbreak. This is an essential for any list when discussing movies about pandemics. It's a classic for a reason, and everyone involved does a phenomenal job of portraying a really terrifying look at the politics behind a viral outbreak. However, it's not all doom and gloom. There's a little bit of Hollywood flair sprinkled throughout the film, so it lightens the load, if only just a little. The best way I can describe Outbreak is that it's a medical drama with 90s action flair. Great movie, I thoroughly enjoy it, and I recommend you watch it, which is why it's on this list. Anyway, at number 4 is Resident Evil Degeneration. Really, any of the Resident Evil movies would be a good choice to watch, but I would specifically recommend Degeneration for one simple fact. It takes place in a crowded airport where a viral outbreak has occurred. Even if you're not a fan of the Resident Evil films or video games, I can guarantee you'll find something charming to take away from this film as the rest of the world falls apart. The plot is simple and understandable, and the CGI animation doesn't leave much to the imagination, but it's a solid little time waster that serves its purpose as a biohazard thriller. At number 3, we have The Road. Based on the novel by Cormac McCarthy, The Road is a truly terrifying look at what life would look like after a horrible disease has ravaged mankind. The nameless protagonists of this film face the conflict of simply trying to survive in a world that is dying, while also holding on to their morals and the boy's childish innocence. The Road is a really sad, hopeless film, where the only good moments are minimal at best. This one will make you want to barricade your doors and windows and hold your loved ones close. It's very, very good. At number 2, we have Contagion. Gwyneth Paltrow's goop isn't going to save her in this thriller about a disease that has been spread far and wide. In my opinion, this is another essential viewing for a self-quarantine, as it deals with a multitude of staple plot elements of every medical thriller that I can think of. I like this one in particular because it puts a lot of emphasis on contraction and spreading of the disease, and does its best to be as medically accurate as possible. A great viewing, especially if you're afraid of public spaces. And at number 1 is 28 Days Later. I'm not here to argue whether 28 Days Later is a zombie movie or not, because it is. I'm here to say that 28 Days Later is a damn fine pandemic movie that is a must-watch for your self-quarantine marathon. I prefer the original over the sequel because the sequel feels more like an action movie rather than a medical horror. Anyway, could you imagine waking up in a hospital to find that the entire major city you found yourself in is filled with zombies that were derived from some virus? What if the zombies could sprint faster than Usain Bolt and are dead set on seeking the nearest living organism to feast upon? Right. Well, if this whole virus ordeal continues evolving and getting out of hand, this is how I'd like to see it happening. Not likely, but a terrifying thought nonetheless, and an exciting watch while you're sitting on the couch underneath layers of blankets, clinging to your last toilet paper roll, and eating oatmeal. Have your own top 5 pandemic movie watch list? Leave it in the comment section below. I'd love to hear everyone's opinion. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy, everyone.